चलो write down heading payback period. Write down heading payback period. उस पे लिखो पहला पॉइंट, payback period is calculated in terms of time period. Second point, payback period is indicating time period in which investment is recovered from the project. Third, this criteria assumes that cash flows of the project are evenly spread throughout the year. Fourth, this criteria ignores concept of time value of money. So friends, importantly, this criteria is ignoring the concept of time value of money. So let us have understanding that say how to calculate the payback period. Everybody is requested to pay attention. Let me explain to you. First year cash inflow is 6,000. Second year cash inflow is 7,000. And third year cash inflow is 8,000. Dear students, first of all, we will make the computation of cumulative cash flow. First of all, we will make the computation of cumulative cash flow. Cumulative value for the first year is 6,000. For the second year, it is 13,000. How 13,000 is calculated? 6,000 plus 7,000. And for the third year, it is 21,000. That is 13,000 plus 8,000. This is the way the cumulative value is calculated. Now friends, we have to see that in which year we are able to recover the investment. What is the amount of the investment that say we have made? That is, we have made amount of the investment that we have made is 10,000. So we understand logically that it is recovered after 1 year but before 2 years. It is recovered after 1 year but before 2 years. So we understand, let's say, payback period is calculated as 1 year plus, we understand 10,000 minus 6,000, because by end of year 1 6,000 has already been recovered. So out of 10,000, 6,000 has been recovered. So what is the amount yet to be recovered? The amount yet to be recovered is 4,000. And second year cash accrual is 7,000. So 4,000 divided by 7,000 is indicating the fraction of the second year in which we are able to recover the remaining amount. So 1 year plus 4 divided by 7, it comes to 0.57. So the answer is 1.57 year. That is the way the payback period is calculated. So please write an answer for the payback period. It is 1.57 year. Cumulative cash flow and then payback period. Okay. Now the payback period is calculated 1.57 year. Now based on the payback period, how can we take a decision? Let us understand it. See, in case of the NPV criteria, we have a simple decision making that you have to check whether NPV is positive. If yes, you should accept the project. If it is negative, then in that case you should reject the project. That is a simple decision making rule that we have. Nothing is special over there. However, in case of the payback period criteria, we should be provided with some additional information with respect to the standard payback period. With respect to the standard payback period for decision making. For example, the company wants to recover the investment. Suppose a company wants to recover the investment in, let us say, 1.5 years. Then I want you to tell me that whether the project should be accepted or not. Everyone answer correctly that sir, over here the project will not be accepted. Why? Because we are able to recover the investment in 1.57 years, which is exceeding the time period in which we want to recover the investment. So the project would not be accepted. Suppose the standard payback period is 2 years. Then in that case, whether the project would be accepted? Yes is correct answer. Why? Because we understand that, say, we are able to recover in a shorter time period than 2 years. So the payback period criteria requires an additional information, that is standard payback period, for the purpose of decision making. The project, if at all the project is having say actual payback period less than standard payback period, the project should be accepted, and vice versa. Please add on a note for this. In order to decide this is the fifth point. In order to decide whether project should be accepted or not, comma, we should compare actual payback period with standard payback period. Full stop. Standard payback period is indicating that what is the time period in which company wants to recover investment. Full stop. Next point. If actual payback period is less than standard payback period, comma, accept the project and vice versa. Full stop. Now, going further, suppose there are two projects, project A and project B. They are mutually exclusive. Means you have to accept only one of them and you cannot accept both of them simultaneously. Payback period of project A is 2 years and project B is 3 years. Suppose the total life is 5 years. However, the payback period of A is 2 years and for B it is 3 years. I want you to tell me that in this situation, which project should be accepted? Of course, we understand that the project which is having comparatively lower payback period should be accepted. Why? Because we understand that we are able to recover the investment fast. Going further, let us say that it is like this. Year 0, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4 and year 5. Project A and project B. Amount of investment is 1000. Cash inflow is 300, 700. And then let us say that the cash inflow is 50, 40 and 30. Project B for Baroda is having, let us say the cash flows like this. Investment is 1000. Inflow is 200, 300, 500, 700 and 1500. Suppose the cash flows are like this. So project A is able to generate the cash flow sufficient to recover the investment in 2 years. Project B is having the cash flows which is sufficient to recover the investment in 3 years. Now anybody can recognize any apparent limitation that we have if at all we go with the payback period criteria for decision making. So we understand that over here the apparent limitation is that the cash flows generated by project B in the later years is substantially more than the cash flows of the project A in the later years. So we understand that there is an apparent limitation is that the cash flows that the project is able to generate in future years is ignored if at all we go with the criteria of the decision making of the payback period. Going with the payback period criteria decision making is having a limitation that it is ignoring the cash flows which is able to generate in the subsequent years. This is the limitation of the payback period. And of course, one more limitation is very apparent, that it is ignoring the time value of money concept for the purpose of decision making. Write on 7th point, next point write down. Payback period criteria is ignoring concept of time value of money. full stop. Further, it has a limitation that cash flows generated after payback period is ignored in decision making. Full stop. Second part of the question है, in that the question says that to calculate the discounted payback period. Now you can very well understand, in order to overcome the limitation of the payback period, that it is ignoring the time value of money, we have a concept of the discounted payback period, in which instead of taking the absolute cash flow, discounted cash flows are taken for the purpose of discounted payback period calculation. Write an answer, heading right down, discounted payback period. In the write down first point, it is calculated in terms of time period. Full stop. Second point, it is calculated using present value cash flow or discounted cash flow full stop. It is measuring the time period in which the company is able to recover investment from the project. Next, actual time period in which investment is recovered is compared with standard time period for decision making. Full stop. If actual time period to recover investment is less, comma, except the project and vice versa. Next, between mutually exclusive investment proposal comma accept the project having lower discounted payback period and it should be less than standard payback period. This criteria ignores cash flows after payback period for decision making. Full stop. It is a limitation of the criteria. Full stop. Try to calculate the discounted payback period on your own. So, let us have understanding that say how to make the calculation of answer. As usual, the first working note will be the cumulative cash flows. So working note number 1, calculation of present value cash flow and cumulative value of present value cash flow. So present value cash flow will be found like this. For end of year 1 it is 4800 and cumulative value is 4800. For the second year it is 7000 into 0.64, that is 4480. So cumulative value is 4800 plus 4480. So that comes to 9280. For the third year it is 8000 into 0.512, that comes to 4096. So cumulative value is 13376. That is the way we are required to make the computation of the cumulative cash flow over the time period of 3 years. We understand that the amount of the investment is 10,000. We have to focus on the cumulative cash flow column, the year in which the cumulative value exceeds the initial investment. That is the time period by which we are able to recover the investment. That is over here, we are able to recover investment by end of third year. Because by end of second year, we have not been able to get an amount equal to the initial investment or more than that. So the answer is more than 2 years and less than 3 years. This is what we understand. So now we understand that the discounted payback period is calculated as 2 years plus we understand that it is 10,000 minus 9280, because by end of year 2 we have been able to recover 9280. So 10,000 minus 9280 is indicating 720. So 720 rupees is yet to be recovered from the project at the end of the second year. We understand that the third year cash accrual is 4096. So 720 divided by 4096 is indicating the fraction of the third year in which the remaining amount is recovered. So 720 divided by 4096, that comes to 0.18. So the 2 years is kept common, and over here it is 2.18 years. That is the way we are required to make the computation of discounted payback period. One more thing friends, 0.18, that is the number of years, into 12. So you can also write the answer 2 years and 2.16 months. So that fraction of the year can also be converted into number of months for the purpose of calculation of answer. That is also a valid presentation of the answer. Next question. Calculate profitability index or desirability factor or benefit cost ratio. That is a question. So we are required to make the calculation of the profitability index, and it has certain different names also. First of all, let us have understanding that how profitability index is calculated, and it has different names also. In order to make the calculation of the profitability index, we have to prepare working note number 1, calculation of present value of the cash inflow. So friends, over here, whatever the present value cash flow that we already have found, we have to make summation of the same. So 4800 plus 4480 plus 4096. So of course it is 13376. So first of all, we are required to compute the present value of the cash inflow in order to calculate the PI. Then how PI is calculated, let us understand. PI is calculated as present value of the cash inflow upon investment. Present value of the cash inflow is 13376 upon 10,000. So the answer is 1.3376. Now what does this PI indicate? Listen carefully what I am going to speak now. Profitability index is indicating what is present value of cash inflow for every 1 rupee of investment. PI is indicating what is the present value of the cash inflow for every 1 rupee of investment. In this example, we understand the present value of the cash inflow is 13376 for investment of 10,000. So PI indicates what do you receive in the present value term for every 1 rupee of investment. So profitability index is calculated as present value of the cash inflow into 1, that does not make a sense, that is 13376 upon 10,000. So the answer is 1.3376. That is what the profitability index is calculated. My question to all of you is that based on the profitability index criteria, in which condition the project would be accepted? So everybody answered very correctly that sir, based on the PI criteria, the project would be accepted if profitability index is greater than 1. We understand that if at all the profitability index is less than 1, the project is rejected. If it is greater than 1, then in that case it is accepted. And if it is equal to 1, then you are indifferent whether to accept the project or not, because whatever you receive itself is the amount of the investment that you make. So in that case, you are indifferent whether to accept the project or not. This is the way the decision making criteria we have of profitability index. Shall I write down answer? Heading right down. Profitability index slash internal rate, sorry, slash desirability factor slash benefit cost ratio. In that write down working note number 1, calculation of present value of cash inflow. Write down answer 4800 plus 4480 plus 4096. So it comes to 13,376. That is first working note, present value of cash inflow. Calculation of PI, present value of cash inflow divided by investment. 13376 upon 10,000. $1.3376. With paragraph write down, decision SPI exceeds 1, comma, accept the project. In that write down, further, first point, PI indicates present value of cash inflow for every 1 rupee of investment in the project. Second point, if PI exceeds 1, comma, accept the project, and vice versa. If PI equals to 1, the company is indifferent whether to accept the project or not. Full stop. Next question is calculate NPV index. Dear students, NPV index calculation is extremely simple. NPV index is calculated as NPV upon investment. It is calculated as NPV upon investment. It is indicating that, say, what is the NPV of the project for every 1 rupee of the investment made in the project. Don't write anything, let me explain you. NPV index is found as NPV upon investment. NPV is calculated as present value of the cash inflow minus investment divided by investment. Now, what is the present value of the cash inflow? We know that it is 13376 minus 10,000 divided by 10,000. So we understand that over here the amount of the NPV of the project is 3376 upon 10,000. So it comes to 0.3376. This is the way NPV index is calculated. It is indicating NPV for every 1 rupee of investment. Anybody can tell me that based on NPV index criteria, in which situation the project would be accepted? The answer is very simple. We understand that, say, if at all the NPV index is positive, the project should be accepted. If it is negative, the project should not be accepted. That is the simple decision that we have. Shall I write down answer? That is, say, note first of all. First point, NPV index is indicating NPV for every 1 rupee of investment in the project. Second point, NPV index is calculated using following formula. Write down the formula. NPV upon investment. Third, based on NPV index criteria, comma, project should be undertaken using following criteria. NPV index is greater than 0, then the decision is accept. If NPV index is less than 0, then reject. NPV index is equal to 0, then you are indifferent. This is the way we are required to take the decision. Now please write down this NPV index answer. Write down decision. As NPV index is positive, comma, the project should be accepted. Read an answer.